it is, and that must be the biggest target of Bayern Munich, that Florian Wirtz is playing for Bayern Munich. He's a German player. The best players from Germany have to play at Bayern Munich.
Hi and welcome to the Fussball channel. I'm your host Markus Fjørtoft, and as always joined by Jan Fjørtoft. But this time, Dad, we have a special guest, a friend of the podcast, we might say as well. First of all, welcome to the podcast, Christian Falk.
Hello, guys. Thank you. I'm always happy to be back again.
And it's unbelievable, Christian. We have to start because this is a day after the last day. And I sent a message to Fabrizio Romano yesterday. Is there any chance that you can sleep now? But there's probably some other transfer window for him open. But how are you? How was the transfer window for you or the last month?
Yeah, especially deadline day was a little bit tricky because, you know, in Germany, at 8 it would be finished, but we had the Tel transfer. And in England, you know, it was till midnight. And that's why we had to wait, and you know there was a lot to do. And Fabrizio, our friend, yes, he has to wait. Turkey is still open. Switzerland is still open. I'm so glad that it's closed in Germany.
I just want to show you before I give you the word to host Markus. But I just had the other day. I was looking for someone for the kids, and I found an old bag. Is it a Kasten Janka?
Fußballgott.
A Fußballgott, and I just found it because me and Markus, we are obviously, like everybody else, collecting a lot of my shirts and for Markus' career as well. And we kind of thought that, well, this bag is gone. It never existed, this bag, so I was okay. And then I was looking here somewhere in the house, suddenly 2 big bags with all my German shirts. So that was like a treasure.
I love that one. It's a really nice one, and
yeah,
Janko, of course, it's a phenomenon, you know.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to show you. Please, Markus.
We have a lot to unpack, though, obviously, Christian, with what's been going on in Bayern. Obviously, first of all, there's been the January transfer window. No blockbuster signings per se for Bayern. You have Jonas Orbig from Köln, and then you have Tom Bishop, who's coming in the summer. First of all, from your perspective, were you expecting a busier January, or what did this unfold as you anticipated from a Bayern perspective?
No, indeed, it was more as we had expected. We thought at the moment it's just being a Musiala contract, Kimmich contract, Davis contract. Will they extend? And I know that was the same which they told the players. That's why everything take a lot of time. I think Davis at the moment could be at the Sebener to sign his contract. So also they had to wait because they thought everything is done earlier. But indeed, there was a lot to do for Bayern Munich. You know, Urbik was planned for summer, but because of Peretz, who was injured, they thought, okay, we have to do it now. And then, you know, Tel. This was also very complicated because you have a rule in Germany. No, it's not in Germany, it's in Europe. So you are just allowed to make loan deals with play in the foreign country, about 6 players. And to get a loan from him and get a loan back, they have to buy some players and sell some players and change a lot. And there was the extension of Manuel Neuer yesterday on the deadline day as well. So you see, a lot to do for Max Eberl.
Just a quick question on Tel, Christian, because I spent a weekend in England, of course, reading all the papers there, talking to all the people pitch side, as you know. And there were first of all, that Tottenham, he didn't want to go to Tottenham. I said, if there is a choice between Tottenham and staying, I'm staying. A lot of my Tottenham friends were very disappointed in that comment. Then Manchester United saw their chance that maybe he could come to them. I mean, wow, they are in need of any player to give them some vitamins in that club. Tell us that Tel process at the end there.
Yeah, it was also very complicated for the Bayern bosses. They really would like to sell Tel to Tottenham. That's why there were the negotiations. You know, 60 million euros. This is a lot of money for Tel. He's still a talent, you know. He didn't made it till now in Bayern, and they bought him for 20 million euros. I think there are ads on till 27, but the base is 20 million euros. And if you can sell him for 60 million euros, That's a lot of money. And Bayern needs at the moment a lot of money. As you know, there's big pressure on Max Eberl. He has to sell players to buy players. And that's why this would be a big option. But you said it already. So on Thursday, I think they were really, really close. But as Tel heard that he will be sold, I said, oh no, I didn't want to be sold because I have no chance to change something. And he said no. And the Bayern bosses were very angry at this moment. Tottenham was already here for the negotiations. And then there was Manchester. And Manchester, every player of the world who hear Manchester, you get bright eyes. And, at the moment, it's not so nice to play there. And if you see what happened there, but the club is still a dream of every player. And as Tal heard about United is interested, he said, oh, I would prefer United. But the Bayern bosses talked with United, and United was interested. They made an offer as a loan, but the offer was much less than Tottenham said. And that's why at the end they talked again with Tottenham, and Tel said, okay, I do it, but I don't want to be sold. So they had no buying option in the first talks. And then he flied over to London, and Tottenham made a lot of pressure. They said, we like a buying option. And Bayern said, but Tel doesn't want it. But then they agreed and said, okay, if you make an option like the 60 millions you offered, and Tel can decide himself in the summer, because it's up to him. If they can't sell him, if he said, no, I don't make a new contract with Tottenham. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, because on the one hand, if Tel likes Tottenham and he feels well in London, Bayern gets 60 million euros. If he said no, they get back a player with playing time in the Premier League. And the third thing, Tel can make his own contract in London if he liked to. So it's in his hands. I think that's good for everybody.
Christian, I want to get into the recruitment strategy of Bayern and where Bayern find themselves in. Obviously, with Kompany representing a rebuild in sorts for Bayern, they've said that they needed it. You've mentioned the contract renewals, which we'll get into very shortly. I'm using the Tel transfer as a reference here. I'm also using the Bayern finances as part of this recruitment question, because on one hand, I see Bayern recording record profits and all that entails. I see a Hoeneß interview who says, well, my big dream is Wirtz, but we don't have probably the money for the summer. As part of this big and loaded question, how are we to understand and analyze Bayern's recruitment strategy, transfer strategy, I guess evolution of philosophy under Kompany, Eberl, Freund? How can we summarize that and make sense of it as it stands right now?
Yes, everybody knows Bayern Munich is special when it's about financial things. They won't spend money just if they get it in again. And they make a lot of money on the other things like marketing or tickets. They don't get so much money on TV like the Premier League, so they have to work very hard for the money. And they just spend it if they have it. But the other thing is, everybody always say, yeah, Bayern Munich, it's just Bundesliga. But if you see at the squad, the salary of the players, there are not many clubs who pay so much money for players. You have everywhere, perhaps a Haaland. Bayern Munich never would pay so much money on one player, but I think there are not many clubs who pay such a lot of money for so many players. There are many players who are earning 20 millions and more, and this is the problem the bosses see in this squad. That's why Max Eberl, his main thing he has to do is get the salary down. And we heard Bayern Munich is spending every season about 320, 340 million euros for the salary of the squad. And he has to get under this line, under 300 million euros, that's the word. But it's not so easy for Eberl because he has to make a new contract with Davis. Davis gets now really more money as before. We heard about, and we say always in our podcast, geschätzt, because
apparently.
Yeah, because otherwise it's heuristic problem.
Yeah.
But he gets more than 20 million signing fee. He gets 15 with adds on 20 million salary. So he's now in the range of a Harry Kane as an owner. And now Musiala, who will also get a lot of more money. And there's still Kimmich, who is saying, no, I don't want to earn less than before. And he's already at 20 million euros. And at 20 million euros, there's Kimmich, there is Leroy Sané, there is very close Coman, Gnabry, Goretzka. So you see, this is a little problem with Bayern Munich.
But if I ask again, just to underline what Markus is saying and what you're saying, Christian, and you know, I've loved Bayern, and I can say that also as a Frankfurt player, because that one, when I started interested in football, I followed Bayern when Uli Hoeneß came in, made out of this to maybe the best run club in the world. And I say that because they don't have oil, gas, state behind them. But if you do all the wages that they have at the moment, the ambitions that they have, and yes, they are doing commercialized good. They have a great position with sponsors and shareholders. Although it's 50+1, they have some external shareholders as well. But I can't, with my lack of education, I have a bit, so I can count that. How is that possible to save salary with all these things that you're saying? Because why should Coman, why should Sané, why should Goretzka, why should they all leave the club to get less money? And if you have them, Manuel Neuer maybe went down a bit, and Müller, if he stays, maybe goes down a bit, but he will still be on the Geschätzt, apparently around 20+. So how in earth can that strategy end up with something positive?
That won't work. So yeah, so we have the same opinion. If you want to play on the highest level, you have to pay that. Bayern Munich is trying to do away in the middle. So you see, they try to get Goretzka off because he's not playing always. It's good to have him, but he's earning like a top player, and he's not in the first 11 normally. So what they did is you get Bischoff in, so he's down with the salary, perhaps 5 million if everything works. So not 70 millions like Leon Goretzka. And they try to get top players who are playing, and the middle must go down because too many players earn high and are in the middle of the squad if you get the quality of what they do on the pitch. And I think this is the problem. But as you said, in the club, they always say, oh, Hasan Salihamidzic gave too much money on the players. But if you see every player, why he give him so much money, it's always a reason. You know, when Coman signed his contract, he was the one who scored the goal in the Champions League final. And Paris Saint-Germain wanted to have this Frenchman. So you can leave him or you give him a good contract. Serge Gnabry, he was a free agent. You can say, go away without a transfer fee, or we sign you again and we pay, yes, a high money.
It's an interesting point because it also puts in perspective what Hasan Salihamidzic did. He obviously brought in Tel, and I would have thought that he would have been part of perhaps that rebuild itself. If we just go through the players then, Christian, in terms of Alphonso Davies, you've said more than likely will be announced this week. We have the Musiala, we have Kimmich, Sané. In terms of breaking down the situation of each player, what can we expect now in the months ahead? Is there a list of priorities for Bayern as they go through this? How do we understand that whole thing?
I think what they are doing now is that they split. So they say, on the one hand, there are transfer fees, and on the other hand, there is the salary of the player. So if they buy on Gittens, for example, okay, they spend a lot on, the transfer fee, but he will earn less than, for example, Sané. So you have money on the transfer fee, so you give some money every year away. So it's split it up. If you pay 80 million euros, it's 20 million euros every year in a 4 years contract, but it's not in the salary place. And Gittens is younger than Leroy Sané. You can have always the idea we can sell him and get the money back. Leroy Sané is nearly 30, so you won't get him sold if you give him a new contract. So that they are trying now. It's really difficult. And as you said before, yeah, if you want a Florian Wirtz, you have to pay really, really a lot of money. But on the other hand, he's coming from Leverkusen. So if he signs a new contract at Leverkusen, he will earn till 12 million euros a year. If Bayern buys him, not this year, perhaps next year, and is giving Leverkusen 100 million euros, but then in Munich, perhaps he earns 15, 16, perhaps 70 million euros, but he won't earn 25 or 26 or perhaps nearly 30 million euros like Musiala could earn. So it's a way in the middle, but it's always important quality on the pitch. And if you have the money, you should spend it on the players, because if they don't perform and Bayern Munich is not good in Champions League, they won't get the money from marketing. They don't get it from their sponsors. They don't get it from TV. So if they have always, and we say, a black nil at the end of the year, it's good.
But the thing is, Christian, as well, just try to explain us that now we have a lot of extension. Okay, Davies, Kimmich linked to Real Madrid, has not got any concrete things, but Leroy Sané will always have interest in England, and England will pay good money. Gnabry have a background there, Coman, and all those kind of things. But just a bit more on Florian Wirtz. Try to explain, because we've got a lot of viewers from England, a lot of viewers from USA, and try to explain why the best player at Leverkusen will go to the opposition, because there is no one who will go from Manchester City to Arsenal, Arsenal to City. Yes, they are, but not the best players. And then try why, that is my first question. Why would they do that in Germany? Why do they do that all the time in Germany, by the way, to go into Bayern? And secondly, why should he go to Bayern if he got more money at City, at Real Madrid, and so on?
So it's really strange for everybody who's not watching the Bundesliga, but everybody who is playing in the Bundesliga is looking to Bayern Munich. And yourself, you know it better than everybody else. Or still, Erling Haaland had an eye on Bayern Munich. You know, he had every chance to go everywhere, but it was in his mind. You know, normal foreign players are going to City or Real Madrid. Okay, but also him, who was in Bundesliga, said, yeah, Bayern Munich is interesting as well, because at Bayern Munich, you can always play for winning the Champions League. Harry Kane came to win titles, even it's just a German national title. And it's a really, really good team, always. They will always play a role in Champions League. But if you are a German, you play there with nearly the half of the national team. And that's a really big point for Florian Wirtz, who's really close with Musiala, and they have so much fun in the national team to play together. And when they talk, they say, hey, it would be a big thing if we win the Champions League together with the German club. And this is in the mind of German players, you know, and they are so young. If you did it at Bayern Munich, you have a lot of time to go later to Real Madrid or to Pep Guardiola if he's still there. But to show everybody, they want to show it at Bayern Munich. And that's why Leroy Sané came back to Bundesliga, because in Germany already, also, you know, Ilkay Gündogan, he's playing not in Germany in the last years, or at the moment, Hansi Flick is coach of Barcelona. And everybody said, oh, everybody in Germany is just listening and watching the Bundesliga, what we do here. Nobody cares. And that's really a point in Germany.
Given what we've discussed with Bayern's financial situation, recruitment strategy, is this talk about Wirtz, is it realistic, or does it remain still a dream in sorts, or is it a matter of certain things moving into place? So depending on what happens to Coman or Sané, and it opens up, and you sort of are a bit more reactive in terms of what happens in the transfer window, and then you have the capital resources to go all in on Wirtz, just financially speaking.
It is, and that must be the biggest target of Bayern Munich, that Florian Wirtz is playing for Bayern Munich. He's a German player. The best players from Germany have to play at Bayern Munich. He's young, together with Musiala, he's the best player in this age of the world. and that's why he has to wear the Bayern Munich dress. And, you know, he's nearly, always with his parents, his agents, and Uli Hoeneß is very close to his father, and he's working on that and say, hey, come to us. And the other point is, yes, Bayern Munich is always saying, we have no money. But if they want Harry Kane, they pay 100 million euros and just say, hey, give him 10 million more, but he has to come here. And this will be the same at Wirtz. If you buy him, they can pay 100 million, they can pay 150 million euros. Then they don't pay on a few other players, and they just do Wirtz in one summer, and then it's okay for Bayern Munich.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, because I do understand that thing. But Florian Wirtz and Musiala is two of the most exciting players around at the moment. Running a couple of them around in England as well. But Florian Wirtz, Musiala, every weekend we see them. We love to watch them. Florian Wirtz took them to the Bundesliga title. It's unbelievable. Musiala with his maturity, and they two together is a dream. And I must say that, Christian, because when I asked that question about the talents going to Bayern, I think that sometimes it's underestimated which market is Bayern buying in, because Bayern got to get the biggest talents in the Bundesliga. Not got to get them, but they have to try to get them. Even at the days when I used to say, yeah, but what about Erling Haaland walking around in the streets? And Bayern told me he's not been here, but we all know the truth now, don't we? And but I said at the time as well, it was absolutely right of Bayern to try to get Erling Haaland, because you got one in the Bundesliga who know the position of Bayern and you know the stature of the club, because this is one of the biggest club in the world. And I think, Christian, as well, that for Bayern to find the right players, if they're going to compete with Manchester City, Real Madrid, then they will lose, and they will always lose in terms of money. So there need to be something else. And I think that the Bundesliga connection, yes, I know a Harry Kane, a lot of clubs would have taken him. But if you see the big players, they will say, we want to play in the Premier League, or we will play to Real Madrid. But still, they need to go in the German market, don't they? That's got to be their main target.
Yeah, they have to. And the big difference is, if it's a German player, everything is different. So the German player, yes, prefers Bayern Munich at the one hand, and Bayern Munich will pay a lot of more money for a German player as well, because a German player in the Bayern Munich dress is, that's more than any other player, because, they have Adidas as on the club. It's this shirt, they will sell more shirts. It's always Bayern Munich they have to have German players in that squad, and they know that. And that's why I think if Wirtz is on the market, Bayern Munich can make every other club could do. And don't forget, they can spend a lot of salary as well. And I think that's just Real Madrid, which is really dangerous for Bayern Munich, because this club is a little bit higher at the moment as every other club in the world. And Xabi Alonso, if he will go there, and, this is my coach, and he will help me there to get a good role in this team. Okay, this is hard for Bayern Munich. This could be really a big thing, which you say, okay, then we have a problem. But if that doesn't happen, and, he's very young, he's really never go out from Cologne and Leverkusen. The next step will be very big for him. And to get to a big club and in another country, I think his family is really humbled. They know perhaps better a step between. It's a big step. It's big enough to go to Bayern Munich. And then this is an advantage Bayern Munich has. But if Xabi Alonso is going to Real Madrid, the advantage is going away.
It's a good combo, isn't it? Towards the end here as well, because we have to ask about Musiala in terms of extending that as well. They've been pushing for a release cost from what we understand. We're kind of waiting. Will he be announced perhaps at the anniversary, or was it before Christmas? And we're trying to tie it up into these kind of special occasions. But I guess the most important thing for Bayern fans is, will it get done? And I guess, where are we in that process of the negotiations?
I can say they're really, really close. So it will happen very soon. The big question was, as you said, will he get a release clause? And Bayern Munich made this step and said, okay, we are doing that. They always said it's a no-go at Bayern Munich. Indeed, that's not true, as we know from the past. But yes, and now, and this is also, if we talk about Wirtz, he will get a release clause, 175 million euros, plus, minus, it doesn't matter. And if you lose Musiala because he's saying, I want to go to perhaps Real Madrid, Manchester City, you get 175 million euros. I just know 2 players which were more expensive, and this was Neymar and this was Mbappé. Oh, no, was Mbappé? Yes.
Yes.
How much was Mbappé?
Oh, around there. I remember Neymar specifically, but we can edit it in.
Yes, I think just 2 players in the world.
Yeah.
And if you get this money, then you can go to Wirtz and say, hey, we have the money for you. We pay it.
But I think what just towards the last one from me, Christian, is that what you are saying is that Florian Wirtz got good people around him. What you see with Erling Haaland, good people around him. Jude Bellingham, Markus has just done a bit for PFA with his brother that I need to recommend, of course. But they have good people around them, and I think that is also the chance for Bayern to get some of these players, because then you can talk about the steps where you go. Because, okay, Jude Bellingham chose to go to Real Madrid at that time. Maybe that suited him. Erling Haaland went to Manchester City also because of the background of his dad and also a good contract, because these all get good contract. So I think that what they have in common, I can see that Florian Wirtz will have a chance that he will end up at Bayern. But as you were saying, can you imagine every day you have Xabi Alonso around you, Ancelotti struggling a bit, and so if Xabi Alonso go there, you just have to feel that is exactly what you need. How many times in the world will you have the chance to go with a coach that you do know? But Musiala, I don't know the entourage around him. I read and hear what you guys are saying, both in Sports Build and your Bayern Insider. But it seems that he got a good kind of people around him as well that sees, well, at the time being, it's good for my development on the pitch to be here.
Yes, that's a big point. And you see Wirtz, who's now thinking about making a new contract at Leverkusen. So he takes step by step. And but yeah, Bellingham and Haaland, that would be also a chance for Bayern Munich, because they saw the Bundesliga and they know that's not a farmers league if you play at Bayern Munich. But it's just a little difference if you are grown up in Germany and you're watching Sportschau when you were 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 and always saw Bayern Munich playing, and you see this red shirt, and every player I ask who's playing for the national team, I think every third said, oh yeah, I was sleeping in Bayern Munich, Bettwäsche or what. that makes something with your head. And it's, I think, in no other country it's so extremely like in Germany, because in Spain, yes, there are many fans of Real Madrid, there are many fans of Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, but there's not one big club. And in England, you have big 6. And in France, France is very different, I think.
Yeah.
Italy, you have many big clubs. And in Germany, you have Bayern Munich. And even players or fans of Borussia Dortmund see that the club is so big that's why there were so many transfers from Dortmund to Bayern Munich. But at the end, everybody has a little bit this red jersey in his head.
And last question from you, Christian, but obviously February is a big month for Bayern. They got Celtic in the Champions League. They have Leverkusen away. They have Stuttgart away. They have Bremen obviously coming up first, but they have Eintracht at home as well. Be curious to hear how you would assess Bayern's season so far in terms of what was expected going into the season under Kompany, and what your expectations are for the rest of the season. What would success look like for Bayern after a season like this?
It's a very, very strange season. So I made a post at one time that Tuchel, he had many points. He was far in the Champions League at this point, was not really worse than Kompany. And everybody say, how can you do that? Kompany is so great and so good. And yes, the feeling is completely different. He has a dressing room behind him. You have a beautiful match plan. But at the end, the defense, always the defense is winning the title. And the defense was losing many, many important matches, always big matches. And this is really difficult. 3 times losing in the Champions League. I can't remember that it happened at Bayern Munich for years. I can't remember anyway. And this is really important. They can dominate every team in the world. I think there's no team at the moment better than Bayern Munich, not even Liverpool. But every team knows if we are standing behind and we have quick strikers like Jan-Age Fjørtoft, then just make a high ball behind the defense. We make it 10 times and we will score 2 or 3 goals. That's enough. Let them play. Let Bayern Munich making the game. That's enough at the moment. And in Bundesliga, yes, Bayern Munich is so dominant, and there are not so many teams who have this player like Markus had. Markus had the chances. He did it with Frankfurt. Leverkusen did it. Even Dortmund created big chances. You see, if there are good players on the pitch, they can do this match plan. And I don't want to think about if Bayern Munich is playing against Real Madrid or Manchester City with Haaland, if they know what happened, if they play a quick ball behind the defense, which is very high with Upamecano and Min-Jae Kim. I think they're playing it very well, and it's really a risky game, but 1 or 2 goals are enough in the Champions League, and Bayern Munich can't score so many goals in the offense.
Before, Markus, you do your official farewell to
I'm happy for you
Christian.
to give it. I'm happy for you to conclude it. That.
Okay, I
I'll
can
give
do
you the
that. But
honors.
first of all, thank you for the compliment of being quick. I played 3 times against Bayern and scored 2. So of course we have proof for your fantastic compliment. But I agree, Christian. Imagine Celtic. Imagine Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers got to say 2 things. First of all, at home with our fantastic atmosphere, we can make trouble for any team. That is point 1. And point 2, boys, they conceded 3 goals against Holstein Kiel. Of course we can score goals against Celtic. So I look forward to the season at the end of the season. I said before the season I was a bit skeptical by this plan A and all that kind of possession. I will just remind Bayern fans that this weekend in England, Nottingham Forest had ball possession of 38. Wirtz had 62. The end game and the result was Nottingham Forest 7 and Brighton 0. So it's not all about possession, but we do look forward to the end of the season. And Christian, both Markus and myself, we are a big fan of yours, big fan of your podcast. And it's always a pleasure to have you on. And always when we have spoken to you, we are a bit wiser. And that is always good on a day.
Thank you very much for the compliment. You're giving back. But just because I said you're quick, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye-bye, friends.